it was Ben Roethlisberger, and if Drake Maye wins the Super Bowl, he would be able to break Ben Roethlisberger's record of being the youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And then you mentioned them only allowing 26 points. This is a feat that was only previously done by the 2000 Ravens.
Yeah. And the 2000 Ravens might be the best defense of all time, arguably. So there's a lot of things that go in the Patriots' favor. Another weird stat, I sent this to you earlier, but every single time the Patriots have won the Super Bowl, it's when the Groundhog has not seen his shadow in 6 more weeks of winter. In 6 of their 6 Super Bowl wins, it has been them with them having 6 more weeks of winter. So maybe that's nothing, or maybe that's something. Because when we looked at the postseason, we said, well, isn't it weird that every time there's a new pope, the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl? Lo and behold, here they are. Coincidences in the NFL are only coincidences if they happen a couple times, but if they continue to happen, then it's a pattern. So that is another pattern that goes in the Patriots' favor.
Yeah, and there's a lot of weird patterns going on where Seattle's pattern was the Pope being appointed in 2005, 2013. Now this year, they've been the number 1 seed and made the Super Bowl. However, in 2005, they lost the Super Bowl. And now with the Patriots, you have Groundhog Day with them winning the Super Bowl when the groundhog doesn't see his shadow. So there's a little bit more at work there. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. And the Seattle Seahawks, the thing with them is they're the number 1 overall total defense. So going into it, you have 2 teams that no one really expected them to be here. And then you have Mike McDonald, where the Rams did expose them. However, he's only given up 1 touchdown as a defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens. And then as a coach with the Seattle Seahawks, he has not given up a single fourth quarter point. The only time he did was that Joe Burrow game versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was when Snoop Huntley was starting. So it was kind of just a game where the Ravens had kind of given up a little bit at the end of it, where they knew they weren't going to make a long playoff push. But he held the Kansas City Chiefs to 17 points in that game, and then he shut out the Rams in the fourth quarter, and they didn't end up scoring. Stopped them at 4th down by the goal line with Matthew Stafford. Kind of ran all over the San Francisco 49ers as well.
Yeah. And I think like the Patriots and Seahawks in this game, I do think it's going to be low scoring. Right now, the over-under is 46.5, and I would definitely take the under there. I think it's going to be like, my prediction is 20-17. Another interesting stat, another pattern that isn't nothing, but when a white jersey is going head-to-head the last 20 years, they are 16-4 when it's a white jersey versus a colored jersey. The only other colored jerseys to have won since 2005, 2 of them are the Chiefs. The other one is the Nick Foles Eagles, and then the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Every other time, it has been a white jersey that has won the Super Bowl in the last 20 years. We're talking a 80% win rate over the last 20 years when it's a white jersey versus a colored jersey.
That's insane, to be
Is that a
honest.
coincidence?
I don't think so. That's a weird one, and the Patriots kind of got away with it in Denver because they matched the blizzard as well.
White jerseys all time through 58 Super Bowls are 37-22. So that's a big sample size. We're talking about 58 Super Bowls. I don't know why they forgot the last year's Super Bowl, but that's okay. We'll ignore that. But 37-22 over the last, and I guess last year the Eagles had their blue jersey, so maybe it's 37-23. But either way, over the last 58 Super Bowls, 37-22, 16 of the last 20 Super Bowl winners have been wearing a white jersey. Some of these patterns, they're looking like
That's insane.
some real patterns here. I don't know. Yeah, it's not nothing.
And then there is the whole narrative with the Patriots where the bar gets moved every single game, where everyone picked the Chargers to beat them because, well, obviously the Patriots are good, but they can't go up against the Chargers defense. Okay, great, whatever. I still picked the Patriots. Patriots still won. And then Houston, you picked Houston because Houston has a better roster. And I was thinking about picking Houston as well. I'm like, you know what? I need to pick the Patriots. I just have a feeling they're going to pull this one out, even though every single person pretty much picked the Houston Texans and said they're all going to beat the Patriots. Like, okay, no problem. And then they end up coming out on top and forcing 5 turnovers. Everyone acts like it's just CJ Stroud's fault, but it's also, New England playing really good football on defense. It's not just CJ Stroud turning into a pumpkin. And then the next game, you have a snowstorm, and then they go up against the Broncos and Jarrett Stidham, but people are still saying, like, even though you're playing Jarrett Stidham and the Broncos, you're still going to lose. And then after that, they're like, well, the Bills would have beat either of these teams. And I'm like, well, the Bills aren't in this game and they're not going to the Super Bowl. And now it's New England in the Super Bowl. And then everyone was saying when the Patriots got to the Super Bowl in 2001 versus the greatest show on turf, they're like, no way the Patriots have a shot to beat this Rams team with Dan Fouts, especially with Tom Brady only having 1 touchdown that entire playoff run.
Yeah. Yeah, everything you say. It's the exact thing. It's setting up the narrative for what we saw with the beginning of the last time the Patriots started their dynasty when they faced Kurt Warner and the Rams. And I think there's a lot of parallels there for a number of reasons, but I don't think it's nothing. We keep moving the goalposts. I agree with that there. What I'm interested to know is, like, whoever wins the Super Bowl, what it'll mean for their franchise. For the Patriots, everyone's going to start that narrative. The dynasty has re-begun. It's reignited the flame. Drake Maye and the Patriots. If the Seahawks win, it's going to be one of those stories that you would compare to maybe not Nick Foles, but it's going to be a story that you're going to write in a future movie about Sam Darnold, what happened with him in the Jets, what happened to him in Carolina, him going to Seattle, winning a Super Bowl. It's more of a Hallmark movie, but do I see the Seahawks winning multiple Super Bowls following this? I'm not entirely sure, especially when you have the Niners in that division. You have the Bears ascending. The Rams are still relevant. So, like, I just think with the storyline, which I know the NFL does care about storylines, Patriots winning makes more sense for the NFL timeline. Not to say that that doesn't mean the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, but I just feel like the narrative following it is going to be more than if Seattle wins.
Yeah, I think if Seattle wins, it's a really good accomplishment. And then this is going to be, one of the best rosters of all time. They went through, they were underdog coming in. They took a chance on Sam Darnold, and then he came in from the Vikings after they let him go. And then they go 14-3. And it's a really good story where if the Patriots win this one, then they are the greatest franchise in the NFL and in NFL history. So you have that riding with the Patriots, and then Drake Maye is a quarterback that is in his second year if he wins it. Then you have him being the youngest quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger winning it. You have Mike Vrabel coming home and being the first player to win a Super Bowl as a player with a franchise, and then coach a team in the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl with the same franchise that he played for. So you have those storylines there. And then with Seattle, it's like, wow, this was a really good, fun team. And a lot of people are going to forget that they won the Super Bowl. Where I feel like if the Patriots win, it'll be an underdog story and it'll be a lot more memorable, even though a lot of people had a lot of questions about both of these teams. Some people are really confident with the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of people are thinking Patriots are going to be competitive, but definitely limited on offense coming into the playoffs. And then if the Patriots win the playoffs, it'll be the ultimate underdog kind of comeback story, cementing themselves as the greatest franchise in NFL history. They already broke the wins record in playoff history when they won versus Denver on Sunday, and they broke the tie with the San Francisco 49ers. And if you top it off with the Super Bowl, with Drake Maye being so young, where if Darnold wins it with the Seahawks, like, okay, I don't think it's that memorable, to be honest. It's cool. It's
Well,
nice.
I think also, like, you're talking about two guys who are top 10 quarterbacks this year, but Sam Darnold is one of those guys that I think a lot of people are hesitant to put in the top 10. Whereas Drake Maye, like, it's year two, the way he ascended from year one to year two with minimal weapons, I think people are going to put him higher in the pedigree of the NFL. Where would he go as far as the AFC quarterbacks? Is he going to bump someone like a Josh Allen, Lamar, or Joe Burrow off of the list of the top quarterbacks in the league? Will he be a top 5 quarterback if he wins a Super Bowl? Because right now, you have Matt Stafford, you have Jalen Hurts, and you have Patrick Mahomes as far as people who have won a Super Bowl in the NFL. Drake Maye joins that elite company year two with a team that has a bunch of cap space next year, with a team that still needs a number one wide receiver. already has a good defense and already has their head coach. We know how great of an owner Robert Kraft is as well. So I think what it would mean for the Patriots just means so much more. And the fact that they're underdogs, for me, the pick for me is going to be the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And my prediction is 20 to 17.
Yeah, and also has anyone made a Super Bowl with less help on offense than Drake Maye? Like, think about it.
Brady, maybe. Not. I
Maybe.
don't even know if I could say Brady though, because he had Gronk and Edelman, who were Hall of Famers. His early Super Bowls, he had like David Givens, and mostly it was the defense that carried him. He had like the Kevin Fox of the world running
Really
the
good
football.
offensive lines, though, with Dante Scarnecchia.
True. Yeah, they always had good offensive lines. This offensive line for the Patriots is right now, it's been pretty bad. They have the most sacks in the NFL this postseason, and Will Campbell is obviously banged up. They have multiple offensive linemen who are hurt. So the Patriots, like their offensive line is pretty bad. I don't know if it's quite as bad as the Cincinnati's offensive line that Super Bowl, but it's not great. It's definitely not where it should be for a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, and you go back like Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. Okay. Matt Stafford had OBJ, who was playing really good that year,
His
and
last year in his prime.
Cooper Kupp, who was playing elite. You have Tom Brady when he made it with the Bucks. It was AB was on that team. Chris Godwin was coming out of his prime. Mike Evans was at the peak of his powers. Okay. Russ, who did he have? Percy Harvin, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse making ridiculous catches. Beast mode at running back. And you go down the list. Ben Roethlisberger when he made the Super Bowl. Hines Ward was on that team. Heath Miller, Fridge as well at running back. And then you go to Aaron Rodgers when he made the Super Bowl, Jordy Nelson, Michael Finley, James Jones, Greg Jennings. Yeah. So it's like you go through all of these. I'm like, I don't know if a quarterback has made a Super Bowl with less help in NFL history than Drake Maye. And a lot of people give Drake Maye like a lot of grief because he doesn't have the best numbers of a quarterback in the playoffs, even though he has better numbers than Tom Brady when he first made the Super Bowl. But it's like, well, what exactly do you want him to do when he has no one on his team who can get separation?
Yeah, I'm really trying to draw like who had like especially over the last 25 years. I know the Chiefs team post Tyreek Hill, it was pretty much just Travis Kelsey. Like I would say like last year's Chiefs team, you have like old Travis Kelsey, you have Juju, you have MVS, you have a lot of guys who are like journeymen but aren't quite what they were. Travis Kelsey specifically looked like he took a step back, but I can't really think of another Super Bowl winner that's going to have less of an offensive talent.